Real quick, toughest player for you to guard and the person you hated that guarded you the most.
Toughest players for me to guard. I always go with guys like Ray Allen, Rip Hamilton.
That move.
They move. I hated that. I'm a shot blocker too, so I like weak side. I like knowing, watching the ball, go for steals. Gone. I hated guarding those dudes, especially Rip because he had them nails too.
He was dirty as.
Yes.
Grabbing, elbowing, doing all that.
Man, Rip got into a lot of times, boy. I'll tell you, Rip put them nails in you to start the game. You like, Rip, this is the tip. The ball just tip.
The NBA's history is incredibly rich with talented players who've become overlooked over time, but this guy is certainly one of the strongest examples of that. Richard Clay Hamilton was a 6'7" shooting guard / small forward who was fundamentally sound and very precise with his game. He wasn't a high flyer or a particularly flashy player by any means, but he was the kind of hooper that would give opposing players nightmares, and defenses always had to pay attention to his whereabouts, otherwise they'd be punished greatly for it. In the year 1999, Rip was drafted out of UConn with the 7th overall pick by the Washington Wizards, and although this isn't the chapter of his career that he's most famous for, it's definitely one where he had an underappreciated impact. His career got off to a modest start as he was coming off of the bench for the vast majority of the season, as he was only playing about 19 minutes per game, which translated to an average of 9 points per night. His game and confidence would grow tremendously in the next couple of seasons though, as he doubled his scoring average to 18 in his second season. But unfortunately, that Wizards team had the league's worst defense overall, and finished with an abysmal 19-63 record. The roster was in need of some major changes, and they would make one in the offseason, like bringing in the greatest player of all time. A 38-year-old Michael Jordan stepped down from his executive office to play alongside of this team. And although it's not one of the more famous tandems of basketball lore, an older Michael Jordan and a third-year Richard Hamilton were actually quite the formidable duo. Initial chemistry issues were evident, as the Wizards got off to a slow 2-9 start, but shortly thereafter they would begin to hit their stride, as they won 9 straight games, taking their record to 14-12. Michael Jordan, Richard Hamilton, and the rest of the roster were actually getting better as the season progressed, but Hamilton then injured his groin, causing him to miss 5 weeks. When he eventually returned, their strong momentum continued, as the Wizards had a 15-1 stretch when Jordan and Hamilton were active on the roster together. Over that 16-game stretch, the Wizards also had the best defense in the entire league, as they were making a push for a top seed in the Eastern Conference. But unfortunately, on February 7th, Michael Jordan tore his meniscus, which eventually resulted in him being shut down for the season. In that third season, Hamilton averaged a new career high 20 points per game on 44% shooting and 38% from three-point distance. The tandem of Jordan and Hamilton may have not been on the level of Jordan and Pippen, but when they were healthy, they were excellent to say the least. Unfortunately for Washington, their management made a grave mistake and ruined their chemistry when they traded away Richard Hamilton to the much younger Detroit Pistons in exchange for Jerry Stackhouse. Now in the Motor City, the 24-year-old star would have even more room to operate, as he naturally became one of the cornerstone pieces of their offense. Now his skills were really able to shine, as Hamilton showed off his incredible basketball IQ and his tremendous stamina. Similar to NBA legends like Reggie Miller and Steph Curry, Hamilton never stopped moving. He was quite possibly more aggressive without the basketball than he was with it, as he covered so much ground as he took full advantage of every screen and every favorable angle. When he got to his ideal spot, he was nearly automatic, as he was equipped with one of the smoothest and one of the most lethal mid-range jumpers in the entire league. He immediately became the Pistons' leading scorer, averaging 19.7 points per game while playing all 82 games that season. This was also around the point where something rather significant would happen in his career. Between 2002 and 2004, Richard Hamilton would break his nose on 3 separate occasions. Due to this, he would regularly have to play games with a protective mask on. Over time, he became very comfortable with the mask, to the point that he preferred playing with it on rather than off. Even after his face had healed, Hamilton continued to wear the mask, as it basically became his signature accessory. When he was asked about the mask, he often referred to it as his quote, Superman cape. The Pistons certainly had no issues with it, as he continued to excel on the court. Now we enter the 03-04 season, which the Pistons are famous for, as they were arguably the greatest defensive team in NBA history. Richard Hamilton was once again the leading scorer of this group throughout the season, and it makes you wonder if there's ever been an NBA champion who's been more overlooked for his contributions to that title, despite being the team's leading scorer. Even in the NBA Finals against the super team Lakers, he led the team in scoring, regardless of the fact that Chauncey Billups was the one who won the Finals MVP. Despite this being the best the Pistons ever were as a team, Hamilton was just starting to enter the prime of his career individually, as he would earn an All-Star selection for the next 3 years straight, and would reach career highs in efficiency in 2006. For both field goal percentage and three-point percentage. He even received some Defensive Player of the Year consideration in 2008. Unfortunately, the Pistons' contending roster would begin to deteriorate, as the front office would make some questionable trades, while some of the proven veterans began to take contracts elsewhere. Hamilton continued to have a strong impact, but the roster strength overall wasn't what it used to be. Then in the late 2000s, Richard started to experience injuries that were far more significant than the ones to his nose, as he needed surgery on his feet, and by the age of 35, he was ready to hang it up for good. Since calling it quits, he's been honored by the Detroit Pistons, with his 32 jersey being retired. To a certain extent, I understand why hardly anyone talks about this guy anymore. He wasn't a clear-cut superstar, and as far as the 2004 championship team, well, there's a lot of guys who deserve credit for their success. Also consider the fact that Hamilton isn't the stereotypical kind of player that you would want to drop in this modern era. Sure, he was fantastic off-ball, but he mostly lived and thrived in the mid-range. And although he shot some three-pointers, they were few and far between. Regardless, one fan base that will never, ever forget him is the Detroit faithful, as this star was a massive component of their championship identity, and they almost certainly couldn't have done it without him. So what do you guys think? Is Richard Hamilton celebrated enough? And is there anyone with a cooler signature accessory than the man in the mask? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.